welcome to another Mumdays video. It's Monday, so that's Mumdays. I've put a link below so you can subscribe to me if you haven't already subscribed. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. In fact, it's going to be here. Just to let you know, anyone who's not aware of my schedule, I upload Mumday videos on Mondays at 9 AM and then Dear Carries at 9 AM on Fridays. Business out the way, let's get down to it. So, you may remember that a few weeks ago I posted a video about sleep and about how my children weren't giving me any. I was quite simply a woman on the verge. A woman on the verge of a nervous breakdown. Tom was away on tour, which left me with Buzz and Buddy, which is absolutely fine. I know a lot of people go have 1, 2, 3, 4 children, maybe even more children that they need to put to bed on their own. I know that I am not alone in this, but I think when you're used to doing something a certain way and that gets taken from you, it can become a little bit daunting. Anyway, I was kind of coping with the whole bath time stuff, the dinner and the bath time, but then when it came to bedtime, I was coping to a point, but then Buzz was being particularly difficult, just crying every time I left the room, wanted me to lie in his bed until he fell asleep. And then one particular night, the night before I made the video, he had me up for 2.5 hours, where I was in his bed and he was pinching me and crying, and it was just the most awful, I'd say it was the most awful night I've had with Buzz to date. Yeah, it was horrible. So I shared on Facebook, I shared on YouTube, and the response was amazing. You all were brilliant at either sharing the same thing, you're all going through it as well, or kind of saying, I've been there, I did this, it worked. Which I think is a really cool thing to do as a mum. I think saying to someone, look, this is what I did, it worked for my child, and not expecting them, like just giving advice, letting the person listen and kind of go, oh, is that for me? Is that for me? Well, I'll try it. I think that's the best thing you can do as a mum. I think mums who are a bit more forceful with their approach, do this, do that, it doesn't work. Anyway, so I gathered the information given and thought about what I was going to do. So Buddy was already self-settling and loving life. He kind of gets put in his cot and he smiles and it's joyous. That's what Buzz was like before we went to Australia. And then he went kaput. So me and Buzz left him, went into Buzz's room, and then basically I'd been building up towards this moment. I'd said to him, you know, Mummy needs to do some work tonight, so I'm going to give you a cuddle before you get into bed, and then I'm going to go downstairs and do some work, which he understood. So he kept saying to himself the whole afternoon, Mummy, go downstairs, do some work. So he knew what was happening. That being said, even though a child knows what's happening, doesn't necessarily mean that when the time comes, they're going to play along with it. As I experienced. I put him into bed and he was fine. First of all, he was like, okay, this is new, this is an adventure. And so I put him into bed, and as soon as I left the room, he was like, Mummy, no, doing his crying. And so I calmly, every time he left the room, I calmly just put him back, and I'd walk down the stairs, and just anytime he came back, I'd just keep walking him backwards and forwards, as I've seen Super Nanny do so many times. I mean, I loved that program before I had children, and yeah, it's all those things, I think, as a mum, you've heard of things working, and you just, I don't know, it's just that thing in you, my child doesn't need that. He doesn't need that discipline, he just wants a cuddle, and you know what, Buzz did just want a cuddle, but he wasn't getting the sleep that he needed, which was making him a little bit ratty and emotional. And I don't want him to be emotional just from being overtired, so I knew that I had to do something about it. For about half an hour, I'd say, I just calmly walked him back to his room. He was crying every now and then he'd just do it calmly. Like any time that I was there, he'd just calmly take my hand and let me put him into bed. But no talking, sometimes not even eye contact, no cuddles, literally just nicely guiding him back into bed like a serene goddess. I don't know. Just a serene human, really, just guiding him back into his room until eventually he realised that that was what was going to be happening. And actually, I said I was going downstairs to do some work, but what really happened was I took my video monitor and I placed it next to my computer, and I just sat there and watched what Buzz was up to. He spent the majority of his time sat cross-legged on the bed, just looking at the door saying, Mama, Mama, come in, Mama, come in. But it wasn't a real cry. I knew he was safe, I knew he was fine. Yeah, every now and then he'd kind of settle down, and eventually he fell asleep, sat up, cross-legged, like this. like waking himself up every time he kind of moved. And then eventually he lay down and went to sleep after an hour and a half. You know what? It wasn't nice hearing him cry, but the night before I was in his bed and he was really crying. That was traumatic. So actually, I think knowing that what I was doing was going to be ultimately good for him and that he was going to get into a good sleeping pattern, it made me feel better. So the second night I had to walk him back into his bed maybe a couple of times, nothing like the night before. Then eventually, exactly the same thing again, he sat on the bed cross-legged. Cross-legged? Cross-legged. Anyway, with his legs crossed and kind of swayed every now and then eventually lay down. So he was asleep, laying down by 7:30. So half an hour that one took. And then the third night, he literally said, "Night night mama," really happy, lay down and went to sleep. Just like that. I can't tell you how amazed I am that it worked. Tom, when he got back from tour, was like, "What's going on? Where's the nightly struggles? Where's the..." No, none of that. None of that at all anymore. Bedtime is completely different. To the point where I get downstairs now at 7 and I'm like, so what am I going to do now? I've got so much time. Let's potter about for a little bit until I actually have to do some work. I don't do that, really. If my publishers are watching, I really don't do that. I just work. From the minute they go to bed, I'm here working. So I just thought I would share that with you. Again, I'm not one of those mums who says this is the right way to work and you should do what I do. I'm not saying that at all. All of our children are as unique as us. It's kind of the thing that I always say, and we have to kind of assess the situation and see what we think would work for them. I don't think I could have done it if Buzz was younger this way. We did try something similar when he was younger, but it didn't work with him. We found the softer approach better back then. But as I say, 2.5 hours to go to bed that night before I started doing this was just awful, and I didn't want that to escalate and escalate and escalate into something that we couldn't get back from. I knew drastic measures were needed. I took the drastic measures and they paid off. Hurrah! Anyway, I just hope this helps anyone who's going through it, because all of your comments helped me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And that is what I want. That is what I love about this space. You know, for me, all the different platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, they all are, for me, a lovely community of mums and parents, all sharing their experiences, because ultimately we all want an easy life and we all want a life where our children are happy. And for me, a child that's had a full night of sleep without a struggle is a happy child. Right, I am off. They're both napping, which if you've heard any white noise in the back of this, like just noise going, that's them in bed with their white noise on. Right, yeah, this has been fun. Actually, I must say before I go, my friend Will said the most amazing thing to me once. Hi Will, if you're watching. He said to me, we were talking about something that the kids were doing, and we said, nothing lasts. He said, nothing lasts. Whether it's good or bad, it won't last. They'll go through little phases. When it's good, you just got to embrace it, and when it's bad, you kind of got to go, it's fine. This isn't going to be them forever. This is just a momentary blip in their development. But I just love it, and that's kind of something that I tell myself whenever it all goes wrong. It's not going to last. As I said, I'm off, but this was great. Thank you everyone for all your amazing advice, and not even advice, suggestions. It was well received. Thank you. I shall speak to you on Friday for a Dear Carrie at 9 AM. That's me upload time. Nice and early. Speak to you later. Bye. A child that's had a full night of sleep without a struggle is a happy child. Happier. I mean, it's even happier if I give him biscuits, but sugar-free ones. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. He's two. The time will come. Sugar will come. Right, I am off.